In this video, you will listen to Neville Goddard explaining one of the most interesting topics in the realm of the law of attraction and the law of assumptions. He will talk about how believing in God could help you to manifest whatever you want in life effortlessly. For those of you who don't know Neville Goddard was a prolific speaker and author in the field of metaphysical spirituality, often intertwined his teachings on the concept of God with the art of manifestation. His perspectives offer unique insights into the relationship between personal transformation, the divine, and the power of the human imagination. Later, he will discuss the connection between God and the process of manifestation. Neville Goddard's teachings about God and manifestation are rooted in the belief that each individual possesses a divine power within, which is the very essence of God. For Goddard, God is not an external deity, but the creative consciousness that resides within each of us. He stressed that understanding and embracing this inner divinity is the key to effective manifestation. Goddard often quoted the Bible, using biblical stories and verses to illustrate his teachings. One of his favorite passages was the famous verse from the book of John, "I am that I am," which he believed encapsulated the core of his philosophy. He saw this verse as a profound statement of self-identification and a declaration of one's divine nature. According to Goddard, recognizing yourself as an individualized expression of the divine source is crucial for effective manifestation. He encouraged people to understand that they are co-creators of God and that their thoughts and beliefs have the power to shape their reality. In his words, "Your wonderful human imagination is the actual creative power of God within you." To manifest effectively, Goddard taught that individuals should align their inner beliefs and mental states with the desired outcome. This involves assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, which means living in the belief that your desire is already a reality. He emphasized that this was not an act of pretending but a profound shift in consciousness, affirming that faith is loyalty to the unseen reality. Goddard also highlighted the importance of prayer as a tool for manifestation. However, his concept of prayer was not traditional supplication but a method for affirming one's desires to the divine within. He believed that through the act of prayer, one could impress their wishes upon the subconscious mind and invoke the creative power of God. A central theme in Goddard's teachings was the idea of revision. He suggested that individuals could rewrite their past by revising their memories and interpretations of events. By doing so, they could change their present and future circumstances. He saw this process as a way to realign with the divine plan, as he stated, "By changing the past, we can change the future." Goddard's teachings also emphasized the importance of persistent and consistent belief in the manifestation process. Doubt and fear, he believed, were counterproductive and should be replaced with unwavering faith. His message was clear: never go back and acknowledge a failure as a failure. In conclusion, Neville Goddard's teachings on God and manifestation revolve around the understanding of God as an inner creative force within every individual. He believed that embracing one's divine nature, aligning beliefs with desired outcomes, and practicing persistent faith were the keys to effective manifestation. By recognizing the power of imagination and affirming one's connection to the divine, individuals could transform their lives and create the reality they desire. In Goddard's view, the process of manifestation was a reflection of our innate divinity and a path to realizing our fullest potential. I hope I delivered a very detailed introduction to what you are about to hear from Neville. Make sure to subscribe to our channel while you are listening, and please listen carefully. Enjoy.
If I say to you that it was Jesus himself and not the crowd who was conscious of the mighty acts of God, would you think of another? I hope not. By Jesus, I simply mean your own wonderful I am. That is Jesus. So I mean the individual who has experienced these mighty acts of God, acts for his redemption. It's not an individual outside of you, but your own wonderful I am. That's when you say I am. That is God. And that is Jesus. Here for the last 3 or 4 weeks, they've been running a series of questions in the LA Times on Saturday, in the religious section. And the editor started it by asking a question: how long should a sermon be? And many of them said 3 minutes. For the span of interest cannot be held. They cannot be attentive beyond, say, 3 minutes. For some, stretch it to 5. And then, this past Saturday, John Charles Thomas Jr., you're familiar with the name, the great singer. Now, whether he is a junior or this is his son, I do not know. But he wrote a very sweet letter and said he could take 15 minutes if it's well prepared and if the man who speaks it is convinced of what he says. If he really believes what he's talking about and he's prepared his thought, 15 minutes would be perfectly all right. But he added this much. He had a sermon that disturbs. The sermon that in some strange way moves the individual, disturbs him, like the comfortable person, the complacent person. It is almost certain that that preacher has an outside source of income. Now that you may take it for the whole vast world. Fortunately, my heavenly Father saw that my earthly father could supply me with that outside source of income. That I did not have to take what I would have to take were I not free of Caesar's world. But when I first came into the city back in 1945, I was confronted with just such a picture. I had already spent quite a few $1,000s to come here. I brought my family of 4, really, 3, and my wife's niece. And we lived in the Gaylord Hotel, and I think the room was $40 a day. That is a suite because there were 4 of us. 2 little girls, my wife and myself, and we ate in hotels and lived normally, but it was quite an expensive journey. And we came across the country by train in those days because planes were not flying, not commercially as they are today. And so the journey on a train for 3.5 days across the country, and then here, and he tried overnight to shut me up because I was controversial. That I said that I do not believe in the historicity of Jesus, not as is described by the priesthoods of the world, but as I get it out of the Bible, yes, but not. And he said, well, as far as I'm concerned, I teach the historicity of Jesus, and so you cannot take my platform or any of my groups. And he had dozens scattered around the area where I was already contracted to speak. So John Charles Thomas was quite true. When this man learned that I was not dependent on his little monies to go back to New York just as I came, he relented. He relented too late, though. After I took one of those that really represented him and gave her all the money that he could have made, he went through the ceiling. It was only money. It wasn't historicity at all. It was a matter of money. He thought I would disturb those who gave to him generously. And so if you disturb the complacent, the comfortable, who support the churches, because they're sung to sleep 3 minutes so they can't go beyond 3 minutes. 5 minutes, that's too much. But then they're snoring. Ask anyone what is the text of today's sermon, and they can't tell you. But it was something to do. You are seen in church, and therefore you are a holy man. Like the chap who just dropped out of the skies with $500,000 extorted. He was a Sunday school teacher, a very good member of the church, a junior in the Mormon University, Brigham Young's University, and undoubtedly a very bright lad. But he could extort $500,000 from the company. Of course, he only had time enough to spend $30 of it. They got him, and they got almost the $500,000. But to come back to the substance of it all, when you take the pulpit, you are almost warned not to tread on toes, not to tread on anything. Just leave it asleep. And if you don't, well then out you go, and we will simply call a meeting and bring in another one, another preacher, who will not disturb. And if he doesn't have an outside source of income, he will have to toe the mark. Well, that is life in this world. Fortunately, he who sent me saw to it I would not have to toe the mark. But when he embraced me, and he was infinite love, and then sent me and told me, down with the blue bloods. In other words, with all protocol, with all ceremony, with all that is now given off in the form of Christianity, or religion for that matter, done with it by ignoring it, and go all out and tell exactly what you are going to experience. And so I began to experience God's plan of redemption.
I hope you enjoyed this segment from Neville Goddard. He talked about God in details and how to believe and manifest once you have faith in God. If you want to express your thoughts and take part in the conversation, leave a comment below the video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell button for more entertaining, informative, and helpful videos about manifestation. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.